Hello everyone, my name is Chloe and welcome to my nuclear reactor. This is a new world for me, and today's tutorial, what I'm going to do is show you how to take your coolant that is produced, the hot coolant I should say, that is produced by your fluid nuclear reactor from Industrial Craft 2 Experimental. Now if you're unfamiliar, the new version of Industrial Craft 2's energy system, they have a couple new ones. There's the kinetic energy, and then there's heat energy. And what that does is their new machines accept hot liquid that can heat up an element and power other machines. So in this setup, in my nuclear reactor, I'm using the fluid nuclear reactors. That's those things down there pulsing with the light. And they are taking cold coolant from these tanks over here. And they are heating it. And then the hot coolant is being placed into the tanks. So I want to show you what to do with your hot coolant and how to turn it into energy. I've built these nuclear reactor, well, they're not nuclear reactor, they're kinetic steam generators. And they look pretty cool, don't they? So what I want to show you today is how to take your hot liquid coolant and cool it down through the heat exchangers and create steam power and then turn generators to generate electricity. Now I know you've probably seen already a bunch of videos on how to do this. Well, this is my design, and everything I do, I like to make it look like, you know, I want to build something like if you walk in a nuclear reactor, this is what you would expect to see. At least something industrial looking, not a big pile of messy blocks all clumped together running in a field somewhere. So let's get started. Let me show you how they work. I'm going to go ahead and turn these on. Sorry about the lag. The lag is caused by my video screen captioning software. But as you can see in this tank here, I have about 19% filled with hot liquid. I'm going to hit this button, and the liquid is going to be transferred to those turbines over there. Yep, you can see them fire up. That's the steam, their superheated steam that discharges on startup. Okay, so our pipes are filled. They've got the red hot coolant going up in there, and then they're coming over here, and after they are cooled, they go down through here, and the cold coolant goes back to that tank over there. And let's just see here. This is what it looks like when the hot is coming in. You have all these different heat conductors that take and transfer the heat out of the liquid, and then the cold coolant, it will be in this side. Now it doesn't show any in there because we're pumping it out, but if for some reason there was a blockage or you didn't have something connected, this would get filled up and then it wouldn't work. So you want that to stay empty. It takes distilled water as well. That's what goes in the boiler. And you can use regular water, but if you do regular water, then it's going to calcify inside, and then you're going to have to tear it down and put a new one in there. And we don't want that. So we're using distilled water. So let's get started building this bad boy. Now, a couple mods you're going to need, at least if you want to do my setup, is the first one's going to be pressure pipes mod. The pressure pipe mod is by Bedu, the author Bedu. And I'm telling you, this mod is probably, I would say, for 2014, this mod here has probably been my single most exciting new discovery. This mod allows multiple unlimited amounts of fluid to traverse inside this main pipe in crisscrossing directions even. And you put these little ports on them, import and exports, and then you can, you know, take a barrel or a tank or a bucket or whatever and filter them, and it shows the filtered liquid that will be going through it. So it won't allow any others to come in or out of it. They have a lot of different options. They even have the pressure pipes mod also includes the tanks. That's these modular tanks. It's part of the pressure pipes mod. And those pressure pipes allow you to configure and have so many different options for connections. You can either directly run the pipe to it. You can connect Buildcraft pipes, EnderIO conduits, Mekanism pipes, just about any Forge, Fluid Dictionary, pipe that you can put on there. It will take it. Okay, so what I've done, and I'll do a separate video on how it works and everything, but I've laid out basically a manifold on the floor of how I want it all to connect. So you can study that really quick. I've just ran the pipe down here. Notice it's just one pipe. It comes down here, makes a turn, and then it goes over to here to this second one, but not the third one. The third one is separate, and I'll show you why in a second. I've got a Forge microblock cover dividing the two, and that's because this is a return circuit for the distilled water. Distilled water comes out of this tank, comes down here, goes up in here, and will go up into my machine. After my machine is done using it and the steam is condensed back down into water again, it needs to return somewhere. So it comes back down this one, it comes over here and goes back up into my my tank. And so it's a constant cycle for the distilled water. So that's how that is set up. Now, you know what? Let's just go ahead and build one really quick. What the hey. I've got one laid out here for you. So let's just go ahead and do it. Put these out here, all the way down. Yep. Go down. I think it's one more. Yep. Go down here. And I think it goes over this way. Yep. And oh, it goes over one more. And the great thing about this stuff is that there is no limit to the pipe. The pipe is unlimited. If you want to put a barrel on there, let's say Extra Utilities Bedrockium barrel full of hot liquid or water or whatever, and you would connect it to one of these pipes, and then you transfer it through, say, a switch like this to another empty barrel, it'll instantly transfer. In fact, I'll demonstrate that for you. Let me see here. I got to put one of these anyway in there. We'll set that there. And grab that one. We'll set this over here. Okay, so notice that they're not connected up right. You're going to need a wrench. I just use the Omni wrench, but you can use a Buildcraft wrench or whatever. The blue, the light baby blue on these boxes always need to be attached to the blue pipe. No matter where your pipe is at, that blue must be on there or it's not working. So I need to click this and it'll turn it. There we go. See, the blue is now down there. Notice my little filter windows have X's on them. That means right now any kind of liquid can come in and out of them. So we want to filter that. First thing, let's just mess around here a little bit. Let me show you how fast this thing can transfer. I'm going to put that liquid on there. In fact, I'm going to filter that. So if I take my barrel and click it, see, it filters that. And I'm going to also filter this. There we go. Now, once I put this barrel on there, you'll see that it just transfers. This is 65 million millibuckets of liquid. Watch this. Well, if you hit it with the empty barrel, it takes away the filter. That's okay. I'll just stick this on there, and for better effect, I'll just use a lever to show you instantly how fast it transfers from one pipe to another, and it doesn't matter the distance even. So I'm going to put this one right here. It's going to power this block. Watch this. And shazam! Look at this. 65 million instantly transferred. It's gone. The graphic can't even change faster than the liquid was transferred. It's instant. 65 million millibuckets. Boom, boom. That's how quick it is. I mean, that is an awesome system. Okay, so let's finish what we were doing over here. And I'm going to put, I need to turn my nuke off over there and put this away so I don't keep turning it on accidentally. All right, so let's just basically copy this over here so you can see me doing everything. This is going to get hot. And I need to put the cold coolant filter on there. Okay, there we go. Now, the premise of this is that the hot coolant is going to go into the pipe. It's going to go up to the machine. It's going to do what it needs to do. And I'm going to use the same return pipe to return back the cold coolant. And it's going to come back up into here and start filling this empty barrel. Okay? Now, these take the place of what my tanks over there are already built to do. And they're actually cycling it back through the nuke and repeating the process over and over and over again. So let me just go ahead and finish this up. Put this there, one there, and let's see these ports over here. That's for the hot, and these are for the liquid or the water. Goes. Actually, I need this one over here. This is where it gets a little tricky here, because that is a separate circuit. So we need to keep those separate. Now let me take a wrench and straighten these all up. There we go. Now I need to put that little micro block in there to divide this up. There we go. Like that. That will block it. And then I need to grab this one. Yep. So notice they're not touching. Okay. I'm going to run those back to here like this. And I'm going to have this one come back over to here like this. Okay. So now I'm going to put this on here. Those arrows are pointing out. That means liquid's going to come out there. All right. And I need to get this one as an import. So put that there. All right. And I think, yeah, those are out, and I need an input there. So that one's going to go there like that. Whoop, I keep hitting too many times. Easy to do. Okay, so there's our manifold, right? That's all set up. Now we need to put our water barrel on there. Water barrel. And we're going to put a switch on there because we don't want that pumping until we're ready. And same thing over here. We don't want that hot liquid pumping until we're ready. Okay, so now all we need to do is filter everything, okay? So, oh, and we need to put the EnderIO conduit on there for a pump. You can use Buildcraft pipe or something else, but I like using EnderIO conduit. Okay, so now my distilled water will come back into here, go up here, and go back to the barrel, okay? It has to be a separate circuit because this side, the water is being pumped in and I'm filtering it. So we can't have it going back out. It'll mess up the system. All right, let's start with filtering our coolant, our cold coolant. That one and that one. And then I need to get like the hot barrel over here. Okay, and these ones here are the hot. And then I need to filter the water, the distilled water. There, 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 and there. That's distilled water, okay, not regular water. Don't want regular water. Okay, so we now have our manifold in the ground, our pipe work all laid out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to lay a base in to build the machine on. All right, and this thing's going to be amazing for you. It will keep that nuclear reactor cooled and generating tons of power. So we're going to set a placeholder there like that. And we're just going to build this one. I'm not going to build that one over there. That was just to show you how to do this. But this is the casings. Okay, on this particular setup, we want to start with industrial craft basic machine casings, and this would be your base. Now for this machine, I'm going to, it has replaceable parts that get consumed. One of them is the turbine. Well, the only one is the turbine blade, and it has to be replaced occasionally. So I'm going to automate that process using applied energistics. So I'm going to bust this block out right there, and I'm going to put in a ME interface. And this is from the mod Applied Energistics 2. All right, and I'm going to set this bad boy right there. All right, now I need to configure it so it will put in a turbine for me. So I'm going to type in the turbine, and here it is, steam turbine, right there. Looks just like that, and it puts a ghost in. That's what it looks like there. Okay, I'm going to set this, do more settings for this later. So, but for now, I'm just going to leave it this way because there's more stuff to do to that. And I can access that later underneath here. So that's why I'm going to leave my machine hollow, because down inside I can still get to it from underneath, you know, my building underneath. That's why I always build my floors 3 thick. All right. Okay. So we need to take and put the steam generator on there. So that's going to be this sucker right here. This is what it looks like, the Industrial Craft Steam Generator. I think they should call it a boiler myself. I really do. It does generate steam, granted, but it really is a boiler. And I'll get to that in a minute why. So if I keep referring to it as a boiler, it's really the Industrial Craft Steam Generator. So I'm going to place that right there. Oops, actually, I don't want to put it in that direction. I'm going to move it to this way. I want these little ports here to be on the sides, and I'll show you why in a minute. I'm going to go up here, put another one in, like that. I want 2. So we're going to be building 2 of them in this stack, two complete ones. Now, these inside will be filled with water down here. Distilled water will get pumped into here, and it needs to be heated to 375 degrees to get superheated steam. To set that, we need to put the generator, we adjust the generator to 221. That is the setting. There is no other setting that gives you superheated steam that I'm aware of. This is the setting that you need to have. And the bottom bar where the valve is here, the water input, needs to be set at 1 millibucket per tick. You don't need to set it at any higher than that. Just 1 is fine. Setting it higher will not do anything for you, it'll just cause problems, okay? So 221 on the bar and 1 millibucket on the valve down here. We're going to set the same one up here. And there we go. Make sure you don't set it to 1,000 like this and then wonder what the hell is going on. And we want it to be at 1. I have no idea. Maybe they have future plans for other stuff that it can do, but right now that's the setting for this, okay? Now, we need to heat that water that's going to go in there. That's what the heat exchangers do. That's this guy right here, okay? Notice it's got this little heat element on there. Think of it like the convection element that's on your stove oven at home when you cook something on the stove with a pan. It transfers heat, it convects into the pan, and it fries. So that's what this is going to do. The hot liquid from these tanks, that's made from the nuke, that's the red here, and that's what that red barrel over there is for, comes in here, and it heats this coil up. And that's what makes the water boil in the boiler. All right, so we're going to set that right there, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. Now, they're not pointed in the right direction. We need to point it in the right direction. So use your Buildcraft wrench, or Industrial Craft wrench, I'm sorry, not Buildcraft, your Industrial Craft wrench, or you can use the Omni wrench if you've got that mod installed. And just hold Shift and hit click. Shift and click. And it'll point the element in the right direction. Shift and click, and shift and click. There we go. Now these suckers need to have some things put inside them, okay? Once you're inside, you'll notice that you have 2 chambers. You have for the hot, and then you have the cold. And up in here are where your heat conductors go. We need to put 10 of those in. heat conductors. They'll work with even just one in there, all right? But for maximum 100% efficiency, all 10 of them need to be in there. So see, if I just put one in there, look, notice it goes to 10, 0 of 10. That means the fluid that you put in there would only be cooled 10% of its usage would be used, and 90% would be wasted. So to get 100% efficiency, we want to have all 10 of them in there. Okay. Now these 3 boxes right here, those are for upgrades. And it tells you what upgrades are compatible right here. You can put in a fluid ejector upgrade or a regular ejector upgrade. What the fluid ejector upgrade does, let me grab one here really quick. Fluid ejector. Okay, there's that. Okay, here's the fluid ejector, and let me get the other ejector as well. Yep, there it is. Okay, here they are. So what the blue one, the fluid ejector, does is it turns the block into being able to eject fluid out. So if you attach, say, a Buildcraft pipe or some other type of pipe that can't extract liquids on its own, or doesn't have a device or a pump to pump that liquid out itself, this ejector acts as your pump. So if I put this in there and say there was cold coolant in here that needed to be ejected out, all I'd have to do is set a tank there with a pipe on it, and this little ejector would push that liquid out. In my setup, I don't need that because I'm using Mekanism mechanical pipes, and they have the ability to extract fluids on their own. So putting that ejector in is actually going to be counterproductive for me, and I'll explain that when we get to that moment, why it would have been counterproductive to have that in there. Now the regular ejector is the exact same thing, and I'm not sure yet why they would have it compatible with this liquid heat exchanger, because what it does is it ejects out solid things like dusts, bars, whatever. So if you use it with, say, a smelter or something, and you're putting dusts and you smelt and get an ingot, that ejector can eject it out to an inventory that's attached to one side of the block, like, say, a chest or something. So that's what that's for. So I'm not going to put in any upgrades in here, but I am going to put in all my heat conductors, and we'll come back to this in a moment. Let's put this in, all of them. Okay, just like this. And this one too. And I hate when I do that. I think they need to put that Q button. I know I can reconfigure it. Shut up. There we go. So now they're all filled. Okay, so what do we do now? Now we've got the that we need to do something with all that heat energy, steam energy that we're generating, because this thing now is going to be boiling hot. Both of these are going to be boiling hot, creating superheated steam. So we need now this guy. It's called the let me get rid of that. The Kinetic Steam Generator. This is our next thing. This little silver thing here is actually a rotational shaft, and it turns when superheated steam or regular steam, either one, go through it, and it'll make it turn and generate kinetic energy. Now, if you put superheated steam through it, you're going to get 100%. If you put regular steam through it, you get 50% of its efficiency. And let's put that sucker on right here. Now this is particular. It has to be placed just so. So in my build, the way I'm doing it, you follow me this way. I'm going to stand here on the side, and I'm going to aim at the middle block, and I'm going to point like that. Okay, that silver drive shaft needs to be pointed this way. Okay, just to give you perspective of where we're at in the world, this is the way it needs to be. Okay, and I'll explain why in a minute. We're going to also put one of those down here. Okay, these ports on the side are ejection ports for the superheated steam to come out. Think of them as the muffler. And then there's one big exhaust on the back as well. All right, now that we have this shaft turning, the superheated steam is turning the shaft, we need to connect it to a motor, a generator that can generate some electricity from it. That's what this next one does. This is the kinetic generator, not to be confused with the kinetic steam generator. The kinetic generator has its own little drive shaft. That's what this little thing down in here is. The gray gear wheel will connect to this silver drive shaft here and turn, and this thing will generate some electricity. Okay, so we're going to put these suckers here on the side like that. Now they are pointed the wrong way right now, so we need to use our wrench. You can use your industrial craft wrench or an Omni wrench. Hold shift and click and shift and click, and you should no longer see that gray part. It should be just black right there. You'll see a lightning bolt there later when the generator is fired up properly. Okay, so now we're generating steam from the superheated, or generating energy from the superheated steam. It's generated here at the first block, comes down to the second one, and then it turns this. Now, after that steam, superheated steam is done, it is ejected out here, and it's now just regular steam, which still has power. So we want to utilize that steam. We don't want it to go to waste. We're going to go ahead and set up another one right next to it, connected to it, just like that. This is the same block here and here. And then we're going to take and put another kinetic generator right there. Hit shift and click and turn it to the right direction. And now what we're doing is we're getting secondary steam, regular steam and secondary energy generation off of the secondary steam discharge. Okay, so we're going to do that down here as well. That's why I'm building two. There we go. This is, like I said, this isn't an Industrial Crafts recommended design or anything. They don't really have one, at least that I couldn't find. But this is how I build my stacks, and I think it's very efficient. Okay, so we've got one more block that we need to put in for the steam to travel through, and that's what is the regular cold ejection water and steam. That's what's left over from this guy right here. He's not going to blow them out these sides, or it will, but we need to capture it and recondense that steam back into water. So we're going to use a condenser right here, this sucker. And this goes right here on the end, just like that. One there and one there. All right. These condensers inside, when you look at the GUI interface, they need to be powered. Anytime in industrial craft stuff that you see this lightning bolt right here, that means it accepts power and it needs to be powered. Now, with the condenser, it doesn't always need to be powered. It can work without the condenser, but it will be very inefficient, and you won't be able to use the fan vents that go in there. See, let me show you one that's actually working over here. Right there. Okay, we're going to be putting in heat vents right there. The heat vents, see, this is charged up, and the heat vents are cooling. Now, if I didn't have power to this, and I didn't have these heat vents in there, it would still condense, and the ejector goes in right there, and it would eject. The distilled water collects in there. Steam collects in here, and it's distilled into water here, and then this ejector ejects it out into your pipe, which right here is where I'm piping that back out and back into my system. It comes over to this tank, and then it recycles. I don't know why I keep hitting the Q button. and it goes back up over to here and goes back into the machine. So it's a constant cycle, and that's what we want to do. So let's put in our condensers. Let's put in some vents really quick. There we are. Now my power will come later. I'll worry about that in a minute. I am going to put an ejector in there, okay? Whoop, we only need one. Only need one. These here boxes are for filling and taking away liquids. So if I would put in an empty bucket here, say this was full of water and I didn't have this ejector in there and didn't have nowhere to pump it, I could set an empty bucket in here and take some of the water away and bucket it out, and then the full bucket would be deposited in this box here. All right, so let's put this in this one too. Same thing. Let me just shift and click and put those on there. There we go. And put a ejector in. Good deal. Now, these little bad boys back here in the middle, these two right here, they need to have a turbine put inside. Okay, and this is what the turbine looks like. It's a steam turbine. So we're going to take and put one of those in right there. Now, on this one in the middle, we're going to put an ejector in there. Okay, just one, just the middle one. Okay, because over here on this one, we're just going to put the steam in there. We are not, I repeat, not going to put an ejector on here. And here's why. If I put an ejector on this one, what's going to happen is it's going to pump water this way. It's going to backfeed into this turbine or this steam generator. You don't want that. This needs to be empty because I'm going to have something here that's going to suck the water out. And what I'm talking about is, okay, I'm getting my head of myself a little bit. Notice this box that the steam turbine goes in. It's a little different. That's because this is actually a chamber. And this chamber can fill with condensation and eventually fill up with water. That's what this warning sign is telling you. Warning, recognize condensation on turbine slowing down. Okay, so that means that you're going to eventually fill with water, so we need to pump it out. That's why the ejector's on here. It's ejecting the water over to this one. And then this one here, we're going to have a pipe down here that's going to suck it out and deal with it. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. Okay, so just chill out on that part. So let's make these ones down here the same. Get in there. Put that on the second one. Oh, I'll just copy it up here. There we go. Put that in there. Put that in there. And I forgot. I got to put my ejector in this one. And no ejector in that one. Okay, we're doing good. Okay. These up here are where your actual energy will be produced. When I open this up, on this first one, when it's running properly, the output here, you should see 100 EU. That's when it's at its maximum efficiency. Up in this buffer upper here, this only gets filled if you have nowhere for the energy to go. So it has a small internal energy storage of its own. You ultimately don't want this ever being filled because you want that energy being sent out to a storage unit somewhere else. Because if this thing fills, your generator will not turn and you'll start getting backfiring and superheated steam ejections going everywhere, and you'll be wondering what the crap is going on. Make sure that these are empty and that this says 100 on this one. This one over here should say 50 because it's going to be working at 50%, so you're going to get 50 EU, and this should be empty all the time. Okay? Same thing down below. Now the fun part. We've got the machine pretty much built. We need to put one more block in, and this little guy here is it. It's called the Fluid Distributor. And think of it like a mechanical sponge. It can either suck up water or be wrung out and distributed places. And let me show you a really quick thing on here. Notice that I have one blue set of arrows over here and they're pointing in. This side will suck water up like a sponge out of another block, another machine block that it's attached to. And these green ones will push it or eject that water that it collects into other blocks attached to it. Now it's in distribute mode. We can go in and switch it. And now it's in concentration mode. Notice that all my arrows changed. Now this one is the only set of green one I have to distribute, but the rest of them are all in blue sucking up mode. So let's put this in here. Its job is to suck the water out of the two condensers right here. And we're going to switch this to concentrate mode. See the blue arrows? They're now going to suck the water out of this one and the water out of this one. And we're going to get the water out of this one and this one. That's why we don't need those ejectors up in here, because we're going to put a pipe here that's going to push it in there. Now you could put another distributor right here, and you would want to switch that around. like that, and then you'd want to put it in concentration mode. You could do that, and now see all the green ones are pointing together, because if I put that, you'd want the green one there the same way. This would be, for my setup though, completely wrong, and I'll tell you why. With this block here, I cannot change out automatically this steam turbine. I will always have, using their thing, I will always have to come in here manually and take this out and put a fresh one in, because they wear out. All right, so I'm not going to use their design in there. I'm going to use some conduits to do some magic in here. So we're going to use the EnderIO pressurized fluid conduit. We're going to put one right there, just like that. And we're going to set this to extract. There we go. This one at the bottom to extract. And put it in always active mode. And this one here is going to be put into insert mode. Now we're not done in this space here. There's going to be more stuff in here. This is the magic of EnderIO. Okay? But we're going to leave this right here right now. And this is all set to go. Okay? So let's continue with what we're doing here with the pipes. I need to take that water, and I need that water to go down to here. So I'm going to put this here, put one there, put one there. Now notice this one here connected to here. I don't want that to attach there, so I'm going to switch that to disable, and I just want it coming out here. This guy here gets set into extraction mode. There we go. And this, you can set it to insertion mode, but it's not really necessary. But I just like to do it because I like to see the arrows. Okay? There we go. We've made our complete loop, our complete circuit there. Now, we need to worry about the water getting in there. And this is really, really important to watch this part, because this is tricky. Okay? So I'm going to stick this in here, and I'm going to, this part here is for filling the water into our steam generator. This is going to take water and fill this tank here, and this one down here, same thing. So I want to set this one to insertion mode. Whoop, insert. Yep, there we go. Insert. There we go. Okay, this is where it gets tricky. Now once I place this in there, whoops, if I can get in there. Once I place it in on this middle block, it's going to want to join that one. We do not want it to join that one. Okay, but I have no choice. I'm going to set that in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our wrench and wrench on that pipe so it disconnects it. We do not want these two attached. That is so important. I can't overemphasize, this cannot be attached to that one. These are separate water circuits. I also don't want these attached up to top here. I want to disable these ones right here. Remember, our steam up here is being ejected over into this one. So this water, any condensation in here is going to go down this pipe and come out here and go down there into the pipe and back to our barrel over there. Okay? That's how that works. Now, I'm going to take, now that I've got that out there, I'm going to take and attach this out here. And again, I don't want that on there. So disable that. We don't want that attached to there. Come out one more. We don't want that attached to there either. So we're going to disable that one. And again, come down. In fact, it's just easier just to run them all and then hit your wrench like that. Okay. This is where the water comes out. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in extraction mode and put it into always mode. Okay. And now we have our water. It's going to come up here. It's going to come around here and go up into our machines. They're going to travel as they become superheated steam. They're going to travel down through here in this here. Then it's going to come out the condensers. This little middle block is going to suck up all the water that's in those condensers and bring them back down into here and go back over to this circuit and back to the barrel, and the cycle will repeat over and over again. So you have a perfect ecosystem. Now, that's the conduit work for the water. Now we have a little bit more conduit work to do. We need to use EnderIO item conduits. They look like this. The beauty about EnderIO conduits is that they can all go in the same block. Look here. This here, let me take this off. This is an example of 5 different conduits all within each other. Let me take that one off. You can see down here there's 3 there, and there's actually another one underneath it. If I could, I don't know if I can get in there and see it. Yeah, there it is. It's underneath the green one. They have all different types of stuff. Redstone, there's ME for the ME conduits, there's stuff for the gases and so forth. So what we're going to do is we want to use the item conduit to insert new turbines into these suckers. That one's over here. When they wear out, so we don't have to be maintaining them. So we're going to place our first EnderIO conduit here in the middle. Now it's going to look like it's attaching everything, but it's not. You need to think in 3D here, okay? When I place this, there it goes. See? It's attached to it, but it's really not connecting or doing anything. It's just sharing the same place, and this is the plastic that holds everything together. And you notice that my green ones are my EnderIO conduit, but it's off to the side. That's because, remember I disabled the water unit coming through here? There's actually a placeholder there. So if I would turn that back on, see, that would be back in there again. So I'm going to put that on disable. Oop. Something I need to remember is to go down here. These tabs, this is for the EnderIO conduit and this is for the pipe. When you have multiple pipes in the same space, you're going to have extra tabs to switch between them, which ones you're working on. Okay, this little brown one is the light tan one is the pipes. Okay, so we want to turn that water one off. We don't want that one on at all. Now we want the pipe, the item conduit to be set to insertion mode. We are going to insert. Okay, they're just going to insert. And the same thing over there, we need to change these ones out or put new ones in. So I'm going to aim right on that green dot and place another one. Oop. Sometimes it does that and I don't know why. Sometimes it's better just to aim down at the bottom. There we go. All right, now the same thing. I'm going to aim, make sure I'm on my item conduit, switch that to insert mode. Insert, and there we go. And I do not want my item conduit attaching to my fluid distributor, so I'm going to turn that part to disable. I only want the liquid to go in there. That's it. Now, out the back, I want the item conduit to come out the back, so I'm going to run that right there. And I don't want that attaching to there, so I'm going to make sure run there and hit disable. Click there, click there, and click there. Now I want this item conduit to attach to my ME. Remember I set this for the steam turbine to be distributed to it, because if I put that in my ME system, it's going to send one up to the machine when it runs out of one. So that's why I've got this in there ready to go. And this here, all I got to do is set it to extract. And actually, I'm going to put a filter in there. So just in case something janky gets happening, I'm going to type filter in. And this is your filter right here, the EnderIO basic filter. There's an advanced one too. And it's not a tornado, that's a hopper. Put that up in there in the extract mode. And you can put a speed upgrade too if you needed it to go faster. And I'm going to program it right there to use and only allow steam turbines. Now if I switch this to blacklist, that would mean that it'll let anything through but the steam turbine. So I don't want that. I want it to be on whitelist. All right, there we go. We now have our conduits all set up perfectly inside. Okay, this is a finely tuned machine. Now we get to add the really cool big glass mechanism pipes that carry all the liquids in, the big liquids. For these, you're going to need Mekanism's tool called a configurator. Let me grab one of the configurators. it is. This is what this guy looks like. Let me get rid of some of this stuff here. Okay, it kind of looks like a little tiny wand or something, but it's really like, I don't know, it's like some kind of wrench or something, I don't know. But this is it. And it does wear out over time. So if the more you use it, the more it takes damage. Anyway, this is what you need to use to adjust your pipes. Now there's a couple things you can do with it. Let me put down here. If you just hold it in your hand and click, like say where these green windows are. Oh, you know what? Before I show you it, let me get a lever here. If I put a lever down, these things are sensitive to redstone. So if I do this, see it opens them up. If I use my configurator and just click without shifting, just no sneak or anything, just click on the green part, you'll see that it turns the redstone sensitivity off on those blocks. Now watch when I switch this. See, it doesn't break apart. That's one thing you can do with it. All right, I'll show you the second thing in a second here. Let's go ahead and put our glass mechanical pipes on this side. This is where the heated liquid's going to come through here. Okay. Now, if you notice right here, the glass is attached to the machine. That's in normal mode. That means liquid can go in and out. We don't want that. We only want liquid to go in but never to be pushed back out. Remember how I told you you don't want to have an ejector here? This is why. Because if you had an ejector here, if this tube ran out of liquid, hot coolant, it would start pumping its cold liquid coolant back into it, back feeding. We can avoid that by using our configurator. Hold it in your hand, hold shift, and click it, and see it change shape. That's in the push mode. If I clicked it again, it would be in extract mode. Click it again, it goes completely away and it's not attached to the machine, but the hitbox is still there so you can do it again. We're now in normal mode, and I want that to be in push mode or insertion mode. Again, switch it to insert mode, and insert. There we go, or push mode. Okay, now I want to put these on the side. Sorry this video is so long, but it just is. Now when I put these here, check it out. All my liquid conduits tried to attach it to itself. So first thing we're going to do is take our configurator and detach them. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. Now the conduits are still trying to attach themselves because they're strange like that. So we're going to try, and we're going to click on those and disable those as well. Disable and disable. Okay, so there we go. We want them nice and clean. These ones here also, they get set to extraction mode. Extract. There we go. Or pull. There you go. And let's do the same thing over here. And set these to pull. There we go. Pull. Okay, our pipes are set. I noticed that this little box down here, or this little port down here, the input port, it's not being filtered. So I need to put a filter on there. Let me grab a barrel here of coolant. There we go. Yeah, that would be bad. Okay. We're very close to firing this bad boy up. So what else do we need before we fire it up? We're very close. We need to have a place for these generators up here. Remember I told you we don't want them to fill up with energy? We want to put something in here that can take the power. I'm going to use an MFE. You can use a transformer, you can use cable, you can use all kinds of stuff. But to be efficient and make it look hunky-dory, I'm going to put one MFEs in there. Now I'm going to stand this direction and hold shift and click and put it in there like that. Shift and click and put it in like that. I want that the output coming this way, and I'll show you why in a minute. Remember how I told you these on the end need energy to work? Well, guess where we're going to get that energy from? We're going to get it from this. All right, so, well, we're just about done, right? Okay, so I'll make it aesthetically pleasing and I'll put in all the cool stuff when we're done firing it up, making sure everything works. All the other stuff is pretty much aesthetics. So we're ready to fire it up. And let me just take one more last look here. I think we're ready. And these ones here have internal storage of their own, so we're good to go. All right, we're ready to fire her up. The first thing we should do is turn the water on. Okay, notice that it started, the water's there, it's going up the pipe, and we should see it filling. This one's full, and this one's full. Now, depending on your graphics and all that, depending on which way you put this sucker in there, it'll either be red or blue. If that bothers you at all, of how that works, you can just simply bust it and put in another one, like so. There we go. And the water's in there, and I need to put in the settings for 221. And I still did it the wrong way. Let's go this way. Sometimes it just does that. It's weird. Makes my Agent Orange act up. There we go. See how it's red on this side now? Both of them are red. I kind of like the red, but you can mix them either way. Okay, so now they're both full of water. And we're ready to go. And you can also see that we have a return cycle of water coming down through here, back through. So we're actually pumping water in the system. We want to make sure all our turbines don't have water inside them. That would be a bad thing. There we go. Let's turn on the heat, the liquid hot, and we should start seeing some action. Now the first thing that's going to happen, and you can see here, same thing, these blocks are reversed from these, so that's why they're different colors. First thing you're going to see is that our heat is now going through, and we're going to start getting steam boiling. The system has to get up to 375 degrees before it will put out superheated steam. Now, let's see here. On these things here, you can see the coolant's going in there, and if these were filled with blue, the blue coolant, that would mean that we have a clog somewhere and it's not working. We want to make sure that that stays empty at all times, because if it fills up and then nothing's flowing and then you got a problem, then your nuke backs up and all this other junk. We don't want this to ever be backed up. We want it to be empty. Okay, so let's see how we're doing down here. We're getting close. This is actually a good time to show you, you're probably wondering what all this other crap behind me is. This is all my uranium refinery. This is not part of the building. This is just kind of like a flow chart I visualized. Whenever I try to lay something out and I try to figure out how I want the process to flow, I build these little boards here like this before I build the factory. That way I know exactly how I want to lay everything out. So we should just be about ready. We're very close. It takes a while. Once it sets up though, once it generates that 375 degrees, it'll stay there. We're just about there. Go over here. And we're going to put in all this nice stuff here. We're going to make them all have lights and blocks and panels. And you know what? We can get these little jackets while we're here. If these jackets look like Greg Tech's fire boxes, bronze fire boxes, that's because they are. I turned his Greg Tech's blocks into micro blocks, and Extra Utilities copies all the micro blocks to make other things like pipe jackets. So I'm going to put this on there, and there, there, and there, one there, one there. I just think it looks cooler. And there. Let's see how we're doing. We're almost there. Now when you see it fire up, you'll see a superheated discharge from the machine when it first starts up. It'll discharge a flare of steam. Now if you're in survival, here we go. There it goes. Ba-boom! It started right up for us. Okay, it is now generating power. See? 100, 100, 50, and 50. It's perfect. The system is perfect and everything's running. Now notice that my item conduits actually attached to my MFEs. Those don't need to be like that. Oh, we can disable those right like that. They don't need to be on there like that. Just adds confusion. There we go. And you can see on my water barrel, you can see the water is flowing. It'll go down and then it'll go back up. That's because the water cycles it. It is not cycling it. It is using it somewhere. We've got an error. Oh no! Let's figure out what we're doing wrong. Somewhere we're losing water into the system. What could it be? What could it be? Let's see. We've got enough power there. We've got power there. And it becomes really a pain in the butt to try to fix this stuff, doesn't it? When it's flaring like that. So let's turn off our liquid heat and figure out where our problem is. And this is very typical. When you fire these up, you're like, oh, what am I doing wrong here? Could it be my barrel is empty? No. Is my water not flowing correctly? Did I not put something in? Did I not attach this? Is it pushing in or is it extracting? There we go. We don't want those to fill up. Now let's just check and see. Condensers the turbines are empty, so there's no problem there. Is the condenser running? That's the problem. We forgot to hook up power to our condensers. Remember I told you if we don't hook power up, guess what? The steam fills up. It has nowhere to go. So to solve this, we need to put the power over to it. Now I couldn't have just put I had to go through this initial setup because I had to get some power built up in my MFEs. Now that I got some power, I'm going to put this right there, and I'm just using this cable. You can use your cable of choice. It generates industrial craft EU, so okay, so there and there. Now we've got power. Look at that. It's happy, and this is charging. The fans are working. We need to put another fan in there. And it is now condensing all that steam back into water. And our condenser, you can see when I turn the machine back on, actually. Turn that back on and it'll do another flare for a second. Okay, now it's going to stay on top of it. It will always condense the liquid. And so you won't have that ugly discharge anymore. And you should see this water going up and then down. It'll go down and then up and down, up and down. It always stays the same. You'll never run out of water. You should always have a nice, tightly run system where you have no leaks and you'll never run out of distilled water. You should be able to just fill it once and be done with it. That and the coolant. However, if you break a pipe that has some liquid in it, remember pipes count as mini little tanks. So if I break these, then I'm going to actually purge some of the water out of the system, and then your barrel count will go down. So I don't know if you're using a tank or whatever, but be careful that you always want to make sure that your system stays perfect. And the tank, when I put this tank down, I didn't put a brand new full tank in there, because if I did that, then it would have nowhere to push the water. So I like to have the water a little bit taken out, just a little bit, just to have a little breather room in there, in case you have other water in your lines or whatever. Okay, so we're now running a perfect system. How do we make it look all funkified like the ones over here? Now you can get a deeper appreciation for the work I've put on these. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we'll build the top. That's the easy part. For that, we're going to need some machine casings. Just put 4 machine casings up top, 1 on each corner, like that. And then I made Industrial Crafts blocks into micro blocks, so I have this little micro block cover available, and but it's not standard available through the micro blocks multi-part. So if you want to know how to work that or how to add that, just leave me a comment in the comments section that you'd like to know, and I'll make a short little video explaining how to do that. So those go there. One goes there. Hey, what the hey? And one there. Up. I just derp. One there and one on the side like that. Oh, no, that's wrong. We want it to be upward. Yeah, it should be up. It should be up like that. That way when you're looking at it from underneath, it looks solid from underneath. Okay. Now we're going to put the black part on. I'm using Mekanism's black reinforced plastic block. And these are my Factorization's magical lamps. They used to be called the Wrath lamp. I just lighten the area up with that. Okay, put these in there. And leave the center one empty. Gets a little hard to see when they're that black. Okay, then I'm using a cyan inverted lamp from Project Red. And you could actually put some circuitry down there, redstone circuitry if you wanted to in there, to make the light respond, you know, to signals or whatever, depending on things going. Okay, so we got the top built. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Okay, so how do I cover this? This looks pretty funky in there. Well, let's give ourselves one more machine casing. I'm going to put a machine casing there and a machine casing there. Now, I personally like to leave these open because I like to see the ports, but we have options if you don't like that. But I like to see the big ejections in there. I like to see my pipes going there. I think they look, you know, those EnderIO conduits and Mekanism pipes, they look sexy as hell, so I don't want to cover those up. We could have, though. I could have made this whole system completely encased, but I don't want to do that. So EnderIO conduits, they don't work with forged microblocks. So if I tried to cover that, if I put a cover on there, it would stick out ugly like that. I don't like that. How do we solve that? Well, EnderIO conduits use a machine. They have a machine called the painting machine, and it's right here. And it works on RF power. Now, I don't have any RF power over here, so what I've done, I'm going to actually have to steal some electric off of my machine to get me over there to power it. I've used some power converting mods from Power Converters Mod. There we go. Yep, I got power. And now my EU is being converted to RF power. And I'm using Mekanism's universal cable, and my machine is now powered from that bad boy over there, even though I'm supposed to be using RF. Okay, so the way the painting machine works is it allows you to put in an EnderIO facade, conduit facade. So just type in conduit and look for the conduit facade. Right there it is. That's what it looks like. Put the facade in here in this block, and then you choose the block where the paintbrush is. You're going to put in another block that you want the facade to look like. So in this case, I want that facade to look like a basic machine casing. So I press this in there, and poof, it's starting to cook it. It's starting to paint it. And there it is, it's working. And there we go. And now I have a conduit facade. Check it out. And these things are beautiful. Watch this. Put my facade. Don't need my computer. There you go. Facade. Boom. Beautiful. We can actually put these in anywhere we want. We could cover these if we wanted to. I don't really want to. I like to leave the pipes exposed. And if you want those back off, just break them. They don't hurt the conduits underneath. Don't change the settings at all. They're awesome. But anyway, you can put machine casings in there and make them all solid if you wanted to. I particularly, like I said, like them open, but let's just, if you like the look of that, this is what it would look like. If you wanted to go and make it all spanking new looking and beautiful and so forth, that's how it would look. But personally, I like it open. And I like to be able to access that back turbine back there in the middle to be able to see if it's got water in it or not, if everything's, you know, working the way it should. Because again, like I said, the turbines in there, these little guys, they wear out. And see, once those wear out, they need to be new ones put in. So that's why I put in the ME interface that will eventually be hooked up and sending new fresh turbines to it. Okay, so I don't need this on there anymore. Take this off there, a couple blast things. Make it all nice and spanking new and pretty for you. You can take, whoops, you know, on the other ones I did this. I put a transformer here. Oops, let's put that there, facade. Now I put a transformer here, a high voltage transformer. And then I have it pointed that way, and then I put it in step up mode. Then I put the cable connected to it, and then I want an MFSU. I could just put it in the machine, but I don't think I really want to do that. Now I put the MSFU down here only temporarily. Eventually this is going to go to my power yard, where I'm going to have lots of different places for all my energy be stored and eventually distributed through my network and my train systems and everything else. But I'm just going to put this down here for now. So you can see it's actually generating power. And all that power that was up in here is now being sucked out and down into the MSFU down there, because these things were getting full fast. But I like to keep these MFSUs or MFEs here because just in case, it gives you that little bit of extra space. And again, you could put MFSUs in there, or the brand new mod, the AFSU, which is really huge. And I think you can download that from the Industrial Craft website for the add-on section. It's called the AFSU. Let me just get one and show you. AFSU. Whoop. AFSU. And yeah, it still has, it's a work in progress mod, so it has no texture in the NEI. But when you place it, it does. And just a disclaimer here, I retextured this myself, so this is my texture, but not the official one. So yeah, I drew this texture and put it on there, and I wanted it to look more, So it's actually extreme voltage. It puts out 8,192 EU, and it holds I think 1 billion EU. It's quite big, quite big. And it works just like any other MFSU. But that's my texture for it. So don't plan on that texture being the official texture. It will have a different texture to it. Again, that's the AFSU. And you can add that in if you want for different storage. Okay, let's build the bottom and finish this turkey. Let's bake this turkey up. So on here, I surround it with black reinforced plastic blocks from Mekanism. Bingo. There we are. And then the yellow stripe blocks are from GregTech. And I like to leave everything hollow underneath, again, because I like to access it from underneath occasionally if I need to work on it without messing up the machine. Okay, and fill that in here. There we are, and we're almost done. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed this and it gives you some inspiration for designing your own. There you have it. The Kinetic Steam Generator and Turbine Liquid Coolant Cooler. It's a long one, but that's how you do it, guys. Again, you will probably see multiple designs by other people online, where anything from them attaching this stuff directly to the fluid nuclear reactor to laying parts and making monstrosities really huge. Personally, I think this is the most efficient build I've seen to date on it, and you know, it works perfectly for you. To give you some perspective, one fluid reactor, my setup that I currently have down there, it takes 2 of these towers to keep ahead of this nuclear reactor. And you want it to cool, you want these things cooling faster than this thing can produce heat. Because if it's the other way around, boom, the heat will overload. Just give you a quick example. Let's go. These are my decontamination chambers. And you go in here and you can see my setup. This is for a very stable setup. It will give you, here, let me just turn it on real quick and you can see. Okay. This is putting out a little over 490 heat units. I think it climbs to almost 500 actually. And it will give you a very stable nuclear reactor. It won't generate, the core temperature won't go up unless this overheats. So this is where the cold coolant comes in, and over here is where the hot coolant goes in. But if it doesn't have a place to go, watch what happens. Let me break that. You know what, I don't want to break that because I'll mess up my system. But trust me, if this fills up, what happens is this whole compartment starts to fill. You'll see graphics. It'll start to get red through here, and everything will overheat, and then boom, it blows up. So you want to keep that cold all the time. And that's why your chillers up top there, I'm just going to call them chillers, coolant chillers. You want to keep those chillers running faster than this nuke can produce. All right. So yeah, that's my setup, and you know, it's not the most efficient out there. It's not the best, but it definitely works good enough. And since we turned on the nuke, we need to decontaminate ourselves in here. So, yeah, warning that if you want, you might want to turn your volume down here because this is where the alarm goes off. So normally you walk in here, and there will be doors that eventually come down. Right now I just got these rigged up here. This will all be gone. It won't be there. This mod developer developing these doors is working on them. So when you put them down, see the chunks are going down all the way and stuff. It's kind of like a mess right now, but we'll get that ironed out. But normally these doors would go down on both sides, and this containment chamber, you would go ahead and take a shower in here. It will come down, and water fills the chamber and you know, washes you down. So you can see here, there's me, and I'm in my nuclear reactor, and okay. So, yes, I have a lovely Greg Tech cape. I love my cape. It's so cool. The sponges down here are what's sucking up the water before it gets a chance and they're from OpenBlocks. Before it has a chance to flood everywhere. So yeah, these are my chambers. They're my design. If you like them, I'll make a little quick build video if you want me to. If you'd like me to, just let me know in the comments that you'd like me to make a build video for the decontamination chambers, and I will show you block by block how to do that. Okay. All right. Well, that will be the end of this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed building this, and I'm going to show you later on as the factory progresses. There's going to be a very huge, elaborate factory with a train system that comes and delivers cars and charges the battery cars and for the railcraft and hauls it off to other places and brings new uranium to be refined and all kinds of different cool stuff in here. And so I hope to keep you entertained, and you can do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. I know everyone says that, but I just got to throw that out there, and please like this video, because that's if I don't know that you like it, I kind of gauge on what I get likes from. So if I don't get feedback or likes or whatever, then I think that I'm doing something wrong, and then I don't know what else to do, and I just do something else instead. So if this interested you, take a second and just say, yeah, I like this, and +1 to my subscriber and like the video. So yeah, all right, guys. Well, take care, stay out of the gutter, and I will see you next time.